Hi there, boys and girls. I'm coming to you in the little video today to introduce our new topic in math. And our new topic in math is learning all about shapes. We're going to learn about 2D shapes. We're going to learn about 3D shapes. However, today we're going to learn about those 2D shapes, which are called plane shapes. So let's get started with our video. Let's look at our words to know.
Triangle, square, circle, rectangle, solid objects.
So a lot of the shapes that you're going to see today are shapes that you already know a lot about, but we're going to introduce some new ones as well. So let's go into our video.
Triangles, circles, rectangles, and squares are different 2D shapes. 2D shapes are plane shapes.
So when we talk about 2D shapes, they're also called plane shapes. That is their proper name. And what that means is that they are flat shapes. They're flat.
Plane shapes are flat shapes.
Meaning if I were to put them on my hand as I'm doing here, I have examples of some shapes here, they're not going to fall off because they have a flat surface on the bottom.
This is a triangle.
I can actually bring that up so that you can see it a little bit better.
How would you describe the triangle?
All right, so let's take a look at the shape that I have here. We know that this is a triangle. This should not be a new shape for you guys, but it's asking you to describe it, meaning what it looks like. So looking at the sides, looking at the corners will help us to describe this shape.
You can describe the triangle as having 3 sides. You can say that all the sides are straight lines. You can even describe the triangle as pointy.
So looking at the sides here, you see those 3 pointy corners and 3 flat sides.
Here is a circle. How would you describe the circle?
So think about a circle and what it looks like. I'm holding one up here as well. And we know that circles are definitely different than a lot of our other shapes because it is completely round.
You can describe the circle as round. You can also say that the circle does not have any sides.
It's just completely round. There's no corners, there's no points, it's just round.
Here is a hexagon. How would you describe the hexagon?
So that's the shape that I'm holding up here as well as on the screen. Now a hexagon might be a newer shape for us. So let's take a look at a hexagon. It should look like a stop sign, right? That you see in the street when you are in the car. But looking at this hexagon, I almost called it a stop sign, you see that there are definitely a bunch of sides, and if we count it out, there is a total of 6, as well as those pointy corners as well, and there are 6 of those.
You can describe the hexagon as having 6 sides. Here is a trapezoid. How would you describe the trapezoid?
Okay, so I'm going to hold up an example of a trapezoid here. Now, a trapezoid, if you were to describe it, is another maybe newer shape for us. So looking at this trapezoid that I have here or looking on the screen, you can see that there are flat sides, straight sides is what I should really say, as well as corners. So let's see how they describe the trapezoid.
You can describe the trapezoid as having 4 sides. This shape also has 4 sides. It is a rectangle. How are the rectangle and the trapezoid different?
All right, so looking at the screen here, you have the rectangle and you have a trapezoid. So they both have 4 sides and they both have 4 corners. However, they don't look the same. That's why they're different names for these shapes. Looking at the square, the rectangle, which should be a shape that you are very familiar with, we know it has 4 flat sides and 4 flat corners. However, with the trapezoid, if you look closely, it's a bit different in the sense of these sides. They are not straight like the rectangle. They are on a slant. That is why this shape is a different name.
All the sides of a rectangle are straight. Some of the trapezoid sides slant.
They slant down almost like a slide, is the best way that I like to think about it.
This is a square.
We have a square here. This should be a shape we know.
How many sides of the same length does it have?
Okay, so looking at a square, we should know this. How many sides of the same length does it have? Call that out. You should say,
the square has 4 sides of the same length. A square is a special rectangle.
So it is calling it a special, oops, sorry, it's hard to get everything on the screen at once. But a square is a special rectangle because, again, it has 4 sides and it has 4 corners. However, the square is special because all of the sides on a square are all the same size.
You can see plane shapes in solid objects. What plane shapes do you see in these solid objects?
So these are objects that, everyday objects that you see or maybe even have at home. But if you look at objects that are around your house, you'll notice that there are shapes within these objects. So we have a juice box, a block, and a drum. So let's take a look and find those shapes within those objects.
The front of the juice box is a rectangle.
So it looks very similar to the shape I showed you before.
The drum has a circle.
So you can see the circle on the top of the drum.
The block has a square.
And you can see that the block is made up of a bunch of different squares facing different sides.
You have learned that objects can have plane shapes in them.
All right, and that is our little video, but we're not done. I put together a little PowerPoint that I want to work through with you guys to go through a few more examples. So again, these are what we're learning today is what is called plane shapes. So let's go into our vocabulary to review. A plane shape is a shape that is flat. It is a 2D shape. We have shapes like a rectangle, which have 4 sides and 4 corners, which should be what you know already. A square, another shape that we should already know, has 4 sides and 4 corners, but it's a special rectangle because all of the sides are the same size. Then we have our circle, which a circle is special because it's round. It has 0 sides, 0 corners, just completely round all the way. And we have our triangle, which a triangle should be a familiar shape to us already, which has 3 sides and 3 of those pointy corners. Now, our newer shapes that we're learning about is the first one being our hexagon, which we talked a little bit about in our video. And a hexagon, in the beginning of the word, you hear the word hex, and that means the number 6. So a hexagon has 6 sides and 6 corners. And again, that looks like a stop sign. And the other newer shape that we learned today is our trapezoid, which has 4 sides and 4 corners, just like a rectangle and a square. However, it's different because 2 of the sides slant down. All right, so now let's go into some of our practice problems. It says to color the shapes that are circles. Obviously, you cannot color because it's just a video, but we're going to talk through the pictures that we're looking at here and decide which ones are the best ones. So the first one is already colored in for you. You see what looks like a cone, an ice cream cone, and at the bottom of that cone, you see a circle. So they colored that one in. Now we know if we're only looking for the circles, so I'm looking for no corners, I'm looking for no sides, and just the shapes that are completely round. So if you follow my pointer, which is here in green on my screen, I'm circling this first shape here, and that is definitely not a circle. This tall one here, not a circle either. There's corners, there's sides, This pointy one here, definitely not a circle either. However, let's look over here. I see no corners, I see no sides, so that is one of our circles. And I see this longer looking one. However, there's no corners and no sides either, so that's going to count as a circle as well. Let's look at number 2, and it says to color the shapes that are trapezoids. So again, that is our shape that looks like this, and it has 4 sides and 4 corners, but 2 of the sides need to slant down like a slide. So looking at this picture here, you can even point at your screen to point out the trapezoids, but let's take a look and see. We have the first trapezoid here, 4 sides, 4 corners, 2 of them slanting down. Now let's take a look at this one here. It's what looks to me like a circle, so that is definitely not a trapezoid. This one looks like it's made up of a bunch of squares, so that's not going to be a trapezoid either because none of the sides are slanting. We have another circle, we have our hexagon, and let's see some of the other shapes. Right here we have 4 sides, 4 corners, and 2 of them slanting down, so that is a trapezoid. Here we only have 3 sides and 3 corners, so that is what we call a triangle. However, our last shape here is going to also be a trapezoid. Number 3, we are now looking for triangles and triangles only. So I'm looking for 3 sides and 3 corners. So let's make sure we try and find that. Let's start at the top here. That does not look like a triangle to me. I see 4 sides, 4 corners. However, this one right here has 3 sides and 3 corners, so we're going to color that in. Jumping down here to what looks like a cube or a dice, which looks like it's made up of a bunch of squares. I don't see any triangles there, so that's not going to count. This one is totally round, so we know that that's a circle. And our last 2 here, I see, let's look at this one. I'm seeing 3 sides, I'm seeing 3 corners, so that one is going to be a triangle. And this one here as well, I actually see more than 1 triangle. However, I still see 3 sides and 3 corners, so that one is going to count as well. All right, let's take a look at the next problem. It says, draw a picture to show your answer. It says, Nina sees a plane shape. It looks like a bike wheel. So right now I want you to start thinking, even close your eyes and picture, what does a bike wheel look like? And it also looks like a penny. Now, we did talk a little bit about pennies when we were back in school, right? We know that it's worth 1 cent. So a penny, think about what a penny looks like. Think about what a bike wheel looks like. What shape did Nina see? Shout out your answer. I hope that you all said a circle. Now the next one, I know that option D is a little cut off, but we'll look at least A, B, and C. It says, I am a plane shape, so that's any of the shapes we've learned today. And it says, I look like a door. So close your eyes, and I want you to picture a door right now. Which shape am I? So if I'm thinking about a door to me, when I picture it in my mind, has 4 sides and 4 corners, so it's not going to be option A. It's not going to be option C. However, option B does look like a door to me, and B is our answer. And that is our short video on plane shapes. I really encourage you to take a look at the Brain Pop Junior on plane shapes, because Annie and Moby, as always, do a wonderful job explaining more about what we talked about today in our video. So as always, I hope that you found this helpful, boys and girls, and I will see you next time. Bye.